Now, page 4, the crisis at the border. It is a total crisis. Anyone with a brain knows it. The border is wide open, and our immigration laws act like a beacon for illegals wanting to exploit our policies of national suicide. But the wall at the border would send an entirely new message to all would-be illegals, both garden variety from Mexico and the so-called refugees from Honduras and Guatemala. A permanent barrier at the border would proffer a new national security paradigm. It would change the entire dynamic down along our southern border, and that is why the Democrats are against it. It would necessarily harm the modern Democrat Party's business model of pandering to Hispanic voters. Thus, even Democrat members of Congress who represent districts down near the border are against true, permanent, and robust border barriers. But they have to be, even though it's counterintuitive. These are Pelosi sycophants like Congressman Scott Peters of California.
So when President Trump says Democrats are against border security and for open borders, he's lying.
Stop the tape. No, you are lying. That's clear. What has the modern Democrat Party done? What have you done, Congressman? You've been in Congress now, I don't know, probably 3, 4 terms, maybe 5 terms representing the good people of San Diego. And what exactly have you done to add robust and permanent border security to keep your constituents safe? Zero. He has a conservative review liberty score of 10%, and his votes on immigration are right around that number too, which means that he has completely abdicated his constitutional duty to his constituents to protect this republic from a foreign invasion from the South. This man is the liar. This man lies to the people who he wants to have vote for him every 2 years so he can go into Congress and vote exactly the way Nancy Pelosi tells him to vote. That's all this guy is. And there are many of Scott Peters type in the United States Congress for the Democrats, simply a lapdog for the Democrat leadership. He votes however Nancy Pelosi tells him to vote. Roll tape.
We do not support a multi-billion-dollar wall that will destroy sensitive lands.
Stop tape. Sensitive lands. A wall is going to destroy sensitive. Have you been to the border lately, Congressman, and all the garbage that exists down there? You're fairly close to it. Your district is within, a couple, 3 miles of Tijuana. You ought to go down there once in a while and look at that sensitive habitat. But what about the sensitive habitat of Kate Steinle and her family? She had a sensitive habitat, but it was taken away by an illegal immigrant who happened to murder her. And what about Officer Singh and his family and their sensitive habitat? Doesn't their habitat count at all in your mind, Congressman? These people who are murdered by illegal immigrants who have violated our sovereignty all had sensitive habitats. They all had lives, and they were all extinguished because of people like you are performing a dereliction of duty and not doing your sworn duty to uphold the United States Constitution and protect the people in this republic. It is the #1 job of anybody in the federal government, especially in the United States Congress, because it's delineated right there in Article 1, the job of these people, and he's not doing it. He's the liar. Roll tape.
Private property, and it could be tunneled under, climbed over, or cut through.
Tunneled under, climbed over, cut through. Yeah, it could happen. But if we build the barrier, then we can devote more resources to make sure they don't poke a hole in the thing or tunnel under the thing. We have sensors that we can use, but this helps mitigate the problem. This sends a message to all the would-be illegals south of our border that, wait a minute, hold on a minute, there's a change here. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new paradigm for the United States in terms of border security, that maybe, just maybe, after decades and decades of neglect, maybe the United States is now taking border security seriously, and so they might think twice about trying to violate our sovereignty. Because if there's a barrier at the border, it makes their job of violating our border just a little bit harder. And who knows, they might get hurt in the process. And if they're thinking that way, that they might get hurt in the process of trying to go through or over or under the barrier, then maybe they won't come here in the first place. Did you ever think of that, Congressman? Did you ever think that if we secured the border with a permanent wall, fence, barrier, whatever you want to call it, that it might change the entire dynamic? Yes, you have thought about that. You don't want the dynamic changed because this is the survival business model for the modern Democrat Party. So this guy, Congressman Peters, knows better. He knows the truth about the scourge of a wide open southern border, but he is absolutely blinded by party politics and their business model of open borders and the goal of turning this entire republic into one massive coast-to-coast sanctuary for future Democrat voters.